Godzilla has many comic and novel adaptations. If you're well versed in the franchise, you may know a number of well-known ones. One comic in particular that I think many people know about, even those who don't even read comics, is Godzilla in Hell. For those of you who may not know, Godzilla in Hell is a comic book miniseries from IDW Publishing. The comic's several issues display different art styles due to changes within the creative team, as Matt Frank, Bob Eggleston, and Dave Walcher worked on each issue. The comic is essentially Godzilla being dropped into hell, where he must escape and defeat enemies to reach the surface world once again. On first read, the comic may seem pretty contained and very straightforward. Godzilla battles demons and other monsters, and eventually makes it back to the surface world. However, after giving it another read, I feel there are many themes overlooked in this comic book series, that being determination, controlling figures in our lives, and overcoming tragedy. So sit back and listen as I discuss the deeper themes that I feel are rooted in Godzilla in Hell. As for the story, Godzilla is thrown into hell, and the reason is unknown in the first issue, but later on we figure out that it's King Ghidorah who brings him into hell. Once in hell, Godzilla has to go through a lot of obstacles in order to return back to the surface world, and he battles other kaiju, as mentioned King Ghidorah, but he also fights Space Godzilla, who kind of acts similar to Satan, and seemingly is there to keep Godzilla from leaving. He also battles other kaiju such as demon versions of Rodan, Anguirus, and Varan, as well as even Destroya alongside Ghidorah. But he also comes across several demons and even fights angels later on in the comic. But despite this, Godzilla is actually able to overcome every obstacle, and eventually he's able to return to the surface world by the end of the comic. So, let me start out by talking about why Godzilla should even be brought into hell in the first place. Godzilla being in hell is a concept that I feel works and can go with his character. The monster represents tragedy and destruction in many films, and sometimes is pure evil. For example, GMK. That Godzilla is pretty evil, per se. I mean, let's be honest, he whacks his tail into a building of a girl in a hospital. And ironically, GMK's design does get used in one of the issues in this comic series. But anyways, the monster has caused the deaths of countless lives and committed sins that many people would deem hell-worthy. I mean, we as people often associate murderers or war criminals as people who deserve to go to hell. Godzilla is no exception. The monster's a killer. Godzilla's character seems to show determination throughout the comic. For example, he attacks demons and other monsters head-on without hesitation. He survives being impaled by a building and proceeds to cut himself off it and continue fighting. Even by the end of the book, he's eaten alive by demons, but because of his sheer willpower and strength of his own soul, the demons pretty much submit to him and form a new body to help him reach the gate to the surface world. This can very well reflect in our own demons, as how we let those demons eat us up, and we are kind of stuck in this own hell of being miserable and constantly putting ourselves down further and further. If we find our strengths, get more motivated, and turn our life around, those demons will affect us less or even be an afterthought to the point where we may continue our lives for the better. Godzilla fights these demons, obstacles head on, and I think that's something that we as humans, should be doing. When we have problems in our lives, I think it is important for us to take charge and figure out ways to get through them. Because if we're not determined to do things, if we're not determined to follow through with our goals, then where are we going to get at in life? Another theme that I think is actually shown throughout the comic is being controlled. Throughout the graphic novel, the beings in hell and even outside of it seem to want to control Godzilla for their own gain. Hell wants Godzilla to stay no matter the cause, regardless of his motivation to leave. They throw obstacles and enemies constantly at him in order to get him to stay. Yet he fights all of these and finds a way to win or get through it, getting closer to his goal that he wants to achieve, which is reaching the surface world once again. At one point, even angels, who are looked at in a positive light in culture, disregard Godzilla's own feelings and want to use his own power for their own gain. This correlates to the aspects in people's lives where we let these negative thoughts or even people control our actions and what we want to do in our lives. We shouldn't let them, obviously, and instead choose our own path. The angels kind of represent in certain situations how even those positive people in our lives that we may look up to and many others may look up to can be something holding us back. Whether that be friends, family, or even people outside of that, sometimes figures that are supposed to be positive in our lives end up being the one to hold us back the most. I think in many people's lives, parents sometimes are the things that really break people apart. You know, they hurt you, or even friends can be people we once thought were, are close to us, but turn out to be the total opposite of what we once thought. That is reflected through the angels, as angels are seen as beings of positive energy, while as here they basically just want Godzilla to help them fight hell instead of just, assisting him in what he wants. The last theme that I think is present throughout the comic is overcoming tragedy. Tragedy and hell both go hand in hand. To many people, a tragedy in their life can seem almost like hell, as every day can be emotionally and physically painful. Pain seems to happen in hell because, well, the people that are sent there deserve it. Godzilla was sent to hell purposely to go through pain, however, he never really seems to back down or give up despite being in such a miserable place. Godzilla's journey is just a small metaphor for many people going through tragedy. It's like hell. Demons, monsters that can easily be replaced with bad or negative thoughts that fight with your mind, or physical barriers that prevent you from being able to do the things you want to. Godzilla, however, fights these many obstacles to overcome these problems. I feel many people sometimes give up on themselves through tragedy. It happens, and although it's a terrible outcome, it sometimes is the only option for people can think of. Godzilla can be a stand-in for how, as long as you keep yourself motivated and push yourself to keep reaching goals and getting where you want to be, these tragedies can just be setbacks and eventually help you go back to living the life you want to. I think the quote, "It's better to conquer yourself than to win 1,000 battles," is sort of a beautiful quote in a way. As I think a major obstacle in everyone's life is you. I think sometimes you hold yourself back from doing what you want to do, or let your own thoughts and ideas kind of get in the way of what you want to achieve in your life. I think our biggest enemy is ourself, and the quote it's better to conquer yourself, because once you conquer yourself and you let go of these problems that you make for yourself and that you can start to live the life you want to. And it's a lot better than just trying to fight with other people that you can't really control their actions, or trying to fight outside things that just, however hard you tried, they sometimes don't end up working the way you want to. The only thing that can really change, or you can change, is yourself. And I think that is just a good message at the end of the day. Or at the end of the day, at the end of the comic, I think that's just a good message. And yeah, the comic is pretty generic, I feel. I think, again, I said it at first read, it just seems simple, but I think there's a lot of deep messaging in here, and I think some people overlook it. But yeah,